All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Premier League Matchday 6, September 28th, 2024. We have a bunch of great matchups taking place on this wonderful morning in the United States and across the world. So let's go ahead and get started. Please remember, guys, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We appreciate each and every one of you. And of course, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell, and please do comment down below. Let me know what you think about these bets, what I could have done better, and how I can improve these videos. As I may have mentioned before, I do plan on providing low risk and higher risk betting options going forward. For right now, what I'm doing is I'm providing bets that are plus 100. Okay, I can sit here and provide you minus 110, minus 120, so on and so forth, and keep things safe. That's not what I'm doing with these videos. I really think you guys can pretty much do that on your own. You don't need to go to YouTube to get advice on how to make those types of bets. Now, going forward, I will again provide a low risk and a higher risk option for the risk takers and the more risk adverse, because it is good to have options on both ends. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with with these matchups. All right, so to start things off, we have Newcastle going up against Man City. And the big news item here, of course, is the absence of Rodri, who's going to be out for the remainder of the season. He tore his ACL in that game last week against Arsenal. So we have a Man City squad who is kind of beat up at the moment. They're also going to be missing Kevin De Bruyne, who has been really their leader for the past uh, I would say the past 5 years and ever since David Silva left the club. So, again, we still have a Man City squad that has plenty of depth in their squad in order to lose a guy like Rodri and be able to, fill him in with a serviceable replacement. Okay. And as Pep Guardiola mentioned earlier in the week, you can't replace a guy like Rodri, but they do have serviceable enough replacements and other members of the squad, including, of course, in that nine hole with Erling Haaland. Let's not forget Phil Foden either, who was probably their most prolific scorer last year. Well, not their most prolific, but at least their most clinical goal scorer last year. And he hasn't done much this year. He's been kind of banged up. But this Man City squad, they are coming off a victory or midweek against Watford in the Carabao Cup. But prior to that, they had actually gone through uh, two draws, one against Arsenal, of course, last Sunday, Premier League matchup, and then earlier in that week against Inter in the Champions League. Um, the match day one matchup. So on the other hand, we have Newcastle, who is playing at home at St. James's Park, who has been pretty good to start off the year. Actually, they've been pretty solid. However, Alexander Isak is going to be missing this game. He has an injury that he picked up in their matchup last week, so he's going to be missing the game. That's a little bit unfortunate because being that City has so many banged up players on their team, it was almost opening up the door for Newcastle to be able to get a positive result from this game, and they may still get a positive result. Do I think they're going to win the game? Probably not. I don't think they have enough, and I think Erling Haaland is good enough right now, and he's always been good enough, but he's having such a strong season, scoring the goals that I think even with Kevin De Bruyne out, Rodri out for the season, Erling Haaland is more than enough. And of course, I don't want to say it's just him, but he's just such a prolific goal scorer that the absence of Alexander Isak is that detrimental to Newcastle in terms of a squad that kind of struggles to score goals when he's out. So what I like for this matchup, I think City's going to come away with the victory. I think they're kind of going to be galvanized by the loss of Rodri, and I do believe they're going to come away with the victory. And what I see in this matchup is going to be Man City plus under 4.5 goals. We might see a goal from Newcastle. I don't think they'll get two. But I do believe that, City will get at least 2 goals in this game, and they'll probably both come from Holland. So Man City and under 3.5 goals is my selection for this one. And next up, we have Arsenal going up against Leicester. Arsenal, my favorite team in the Premier League, and in international soccer in general. So, we have an Arsenal side that's kind of banged up going into this matchup. Of course, this game is at the Emirates in North London. So, we know that Martin Odegaard is definitely going to be out for this one, and he's going to probably be out for several additional games, probably certainly well past, well, not well past, but at least past the international break in October. Um, but for this one, we have David Raya, who is looking like he might not play. So it might be Ederson in goal for them, or we'll have to see who they have in goal. But David Raya might not be playing. And then they also might be without the services of Ben White. It does look like Urian Timmer's going to be able to play. Um, Other than that, Mikel Merino is also going to be out. Leicester on the other side seems to be the best playing side of the teams that came up from the championship last year, and they did draw to Walsall over the in midweek in the Carabao Cup. They did end up winning that game on penalty kicks, and then they've had two draws before that. But out of all the sides that have come up, Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton, Leicester has played the best. They have the highest positioning within the table. But, even with all these injuries here with Arsenal, I think they still have enough firepower to win this game. Of course, with Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, and Leandro Trossard, and then a guy like Kai Havertz in the striker role. Um, and then you have Leicester, who their most prolific goal scorer is still Jamie Vardy, who's the guy who helped lead the Leicester City to a Premier League title after the 2016 year, which was a big, big surprise, and probably the biggest surprise of the past 25 years in terms of, being able to win a title in the Premier League with some of the big, outside the big six clubs in the Premier League. So for this one, I'm definitely looking at Arsenal to pull this one off. I think the best way to go with this one is probably going to go with Arsenal and under 3.5 goals. Arsenal is a squad that does not concede a lot of goals, of course, with their back line of, in particular, two center backs, Gabriel and William Saliba. These guys just don't give up a lot of goals. However, it's still not my favorite pick out of this slate of games. But Arsenal in 3.5. I know you guys probably noticed that I usually tend to go towards the unders rather than the overs, and it just has to do with the bang for your buck and the value that you get on the unders as compared to the overs. The overs tend to be overvalued, and I understand why. These games too do end up being higher scoring, and you kind of get burned on the under. But then you also make money on the unders a lot of times. I think this one's worth it with the injuries that Arsenal has, even with David Raya out, with that back line of theirs. I If they do concede a goal, it's only going to be one. But I see them scoring at least 2 goals. This may be a 1-0 matchup, 2-0, 2-1. 3-0, you know. So there's plenty of options that leaves you. This leaves you Arsenal and under 3.5. You get that for even money plus 100. So that's going to be my bet for this one. In our next matchup, we got Brentford going up against West Ham. Out of all the games being played here on Saturday, this is probably my least favorite, only because I feel like this matchup can go either way. Brentford has been so-so to start off this year. West Ham has probably been below expectations, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I really like this West Ham squad. I like their additions over the offseason with guys like Nicholas Fulkrug and Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Crescencio Somerville. I think they just need a little bit more time to gel and to come together as a squad. Once they do, I think they could be, a force to be reckoned with. This Brentford side, I thought they were going to struggle a little bit more with Ivan Toney being transferred over to Saudi, but they've actually played pretty well, and they look like a squad that is now a fixture in the Premier League. They've been in the Premier League as a club for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, I do believe, and it looks like they're going to stay up again. But looking at this matchup and looking at a bet that I think would provide value, I'm going to look at Brentford and both teams to score. Now, again, not my favorite bet. I'm giving it 2 out of 5 stars or 2 out of 5 balls. 'Cause I do believe this could go the other way and be both teams to score and West Ham on the double chance. And if again, I apologize. I believe I said Brentford and both teams to score, Brentford or draw and both teams to score. So the double chance on Brentford. I'll take Brentford because they are at home, but I do believe this could go either way. I do see both teams scoring, however. All right, next up we have Chelsea going up against Brighton at Stamford Bridge in West London. So for this matchup, I think this could end up being the game of the day, to be honest with you. I like this matchup from a attacking standpoint. I think there's going to be some goals. I believe the last however many matchups have hit the over 2.5 goals. So I think you could probably expect that again. Um, Chelsea is a squad that has received a lot of criticism for all their scoring, all the you know players that they've picked up over the last couple years. But I think this is a squad that over the next couple years and even into this season is going to become a team that is going to have some really, really big potential. And I wouldn't doubt seeing them even this year and then going over, being a team that competes for spots in Europe and maybe even a spot in the Champions League. So we'll see how that works out this year with the Premier League if they'll get a fifth, spot in the Champions League this year. That all depends on how they perform in Europe. Brighton started off the season really hot. Since then, they've been a draw machine. Quite the opposite for Chelsea. They started off slow and now they've been winning games. And so looking at this matchup, I think they're going to go for it. I think the Premier League is something that they're more concerned about than they are, for instance, the Conference League, which they have a game coming up this week in the Conference League. I do, yeah, they have a game coming up this coming week. So, but I think this is their main priority. I do see there being goals in this game. With guys like Cole Palmer and one of the guys from Chelsea that I really liked, and now he's coming into his own. I think he scored a hat trick midweek, be it was in the Carabao Cup. Is Christopher Nkanku. I really like this guy. He had a dynamic season in Leipzig a couple years back, and he was injured most of last year. Now he's coming into his own, and I really like that guy. Nicholas Jackson is a guy that if he could just get more clinical at goal, his pace is excellent. He's always getting chances. So this is a Chelsea squad that I really, really like. The more I look at them, the more I like them. And that's not to say anything about Brighton. I really like Brighton actually, but they need a guy like Evan Ferguson to come back where they can really have that striker and goal. Once that happens, I think their upside is going to be a little bit more higher. So they got a higher ceiling, but their floor is also kind of low, But it's just, in this matchup, what I see being it that it's at Stamford Bridge, I see Chelsea and both teams to score. I think this is perfect. I think you're getting great value for your money. This can be a 2-1, 3-1 Chelsea win, 3-2. I don't think it's going to go there, but 2-1, 3-1, that sort of score line easily could see that. So that's going to be my bet for this one. Chelsea, both teams to score. Next up, we have Everton going up against Crystal Palace, and this is a matchup that kind of two evenly matched teams. If I had to pick a side that I like better, probably it's Crystal Palace, but Everton is at home for this matchup. But looking at this game, I really difficult to pick a side in this one. And I don't even want to do it, So Crystal Palace is a team that, I think has a lot of potential, and they would have had even more potential if they would have kept a guy like Michael Olise. But the reality for a club like Crystal Palace is that once they get a guy like this, and they see the opportunity to maybe capitalize on his market value, they're going to go ahead and sell him and then put that money back into the club in order to bring in some squad guys, some guys that can help them out. So two or three guys instead of one guy in Elise. But Elise was a really dynamic winger for them who was able to, really be clinical in goal. And he's doing that over at Bayern right now. So on the other hand, you got a team like Everton where I like guys like, Dwight O'Neal and Calvert Lewin and things like that. But I said Dwight O'Neal. I meant Dwight McNeil. My apologies. But their back line and their defense has not been as sound as it was last year. Last year, Everton was not giving up a lot of goals. They haven't been as good this year, and that's shown in their record. They over the last 5 games, they have one win, three losses, and a draw. Or excuse me, Crystal Palace has been a little bit better, but they really haven't been that much better. Their last 5 games, three draws, um, and two wins. No losses though. So my best bet for this one, looking at this matchup, some people see a lot of goals. I don't know if I see that. Either way, what I like for this one is first half draw. Okay, so at halftime, it could be 0-0, 1-1, whatever it may be. I do see this game being knotted up at halftime. And you can get a decent, what is it, at 105. Okay, so the books are indicating that that's a legitimate possibility as well. But I like it. I think trying to pick a side with this one is splitting hairs. So let's to keep things on the relative safe side, still getting plus money. Let's go with the first half draw for that one. Second to last matchup, we have Fulham going up against Nottingham Forest. Should say Forest going up against Fulham. This is at the City Ground in Nottingham. And for this particular matchup, you know what? I like Nottingham Forest, and I think they've been playing good football to start off the season. I think the same can be said for Fulham, relatively speaking. Nottingham Forest, at one point, I believe they were in the top five. They've fallen back a little bit since then. But I do like them to, if I was to pick a side that I like more, I would go with Nottingham Forest. With this particular matchup, I'm going to go with Nottingham Forest or draw and both teams to score. That's my betting advice for that game. And in our last matchup of the day, we have Wolves going up against Liverpool. A matchup where it's hard to find value just because Wolves have been atrocious to start off the year, and Liverpool have been pretty damn good other than that hiccup against Nottingham Forest, where they lost 1-0. Of course, I do like Liverpool in this matchup. I think at some point Wolves is probably going to turn it around, but not right now. Not this matchup, not against this Liverpool squad who is getting back Allison and goal. So they're looking pretty healthy for this matchup. Wolves, it just comes down to they've sold so many of their top players over the last couple years. It's going to take them a little bit of time to get galvanized and find some rhythm. They were one of the teams that I probably picked to go down last year, and they actually played a lot better than I thought they would. And actually, they were pretty damn good last year. And I think it's just catching up to them this year. So I do think they are at risk of going down this year. They don't have a win yet. They only have one draw. They got 1 point show for their first 5 matches, and I don't think they're going to get a result out of this one either. I think they're going to lose all 3 points, and Liverpool will come away with the victory. Now, in order to find value in this game, you kind of got to get creative. And that's exactly what I've done. I'm pulling, going into the bag of tricks, pulling out the one that I've been using quite often over the past week or two. And that's going to be the first half money line for Liverpool plus under 2.5 goals. I think that's a good one. Listen, Wolves is still a team that, well, this year they've conceded quite a bit, actually. Yeah, more than any other team but Everton. And there we go again. Everton has conceded 14 goals along with Wolves this year. That's a lot of goals that they're conceding at this point, more than almost 3 goals a match. So yeah, that's pretty terrible to be honest with you. Yeah, but I think Liverpool will keep it under 3 goals. They might get two. Hopefully they don't get three. But let's go with Liverpool first half money line plus under 2.5 goal. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks again for listening in. If you like what you hear, like what you see, please do consider subscribing to that channel, liking the video, sharing the video, hitting that notification bell, and also commenting down below. We love to hear your feedback. And, I'm going to try putting out some more videos. Tomorrow, I do anticipate putting out a college football video. I got 5 great matchups. Tomorrow is a fantastic day for college football. So please do, listen into that video. If I can, I'll try to put out some more videos for the football. Maybe even for that Bayern Leverkusen. I'd love to put out a video for that one. But look out for my NFL video on Sunday. I'm gonna do the whole slate of games on Sunday, and then maybe try to get something out for MLS or Liga MX for tomorrow or Sunday. But I'm trying to do as much as I can, get it out to you guys. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And good luck, and we'll see you later. Peace out.